welcome to We Have Spoken.
I thought just you were doing it.
Oh! We're going with that.
Pat
We can't erase the tape. We only have so much
Pat
tape here.
Sajak and Vanna White are here, and you are not pulling your weight,
You're
sir.
the production jerk who doesn't know what they're doing.
This is the way.
So this is the way We Have Spoken. We just saw the season finale, Redemption. The episode was called. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, Jamie Leroy, no relation.
That's me.
And Mr. Thomas Colbert.
Hello.
Also no relation.
No relation. So we missed a few. It's so creepy every time.
Yeah.
Both times. So
Every time.
we just saw the finale of The Mandalorian season 1 here, and we got some good news on season 2 while we're at it. But anyway, spoilers obviously. If you haven't seen the episode, bookmark this, come back, watch it again. Whether you're watching on youtube.com/thegeekiverse or listening on Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud, we appreciate you. So we missed a few weeks. We missed 2 episodes, Reckoning, and I don't remember the other one.
The mercenary one.
Yeah, the creepy Twilight one.
Yes.
6 and 7.
Yeah, we missed 6 and 7. Some crap about my cohorts here getting engaged. It's a joke. Anyway.
Was that a congrats?
Now that no, I'm telling the viewers and listeners why we
the
missed.
episodes were missed.
Oh.
Yes.
It was our
Well,
fault.
the last one was because of Christmas. That's not our
Was it?
fault.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blaming. You be careful who you're blaming here.
I also blame Christmas.
Okay. So, you guys are crazy. Anyway, you guys got me. Speaking of Christmas, if you're watching this episode, this awesome Funko Pop. What do you guys say?
Pop
So
vinyl.
I got IG-11, who is arguably my favorite character on the show. He's got to be my favorite character. He's just awesome. And then I told the story of how I almost got you guys Pop, but didn't because you don't like soda. So let's talk about this episode of We Have Spoken. The season finale here, we wrap things up. Man, this season went fast. That kind of sucks in a way.
Yeah.
But it's also a good thing because it shows that the show had nice momentum. It had a relatively nice consistency to it week to week. And even though it wasn't something that you could binge all on day one, it felt really fast.
Agreed.
So tonight's episode here, we just saw it. What do we think? Kind of initial thoughts, overall reaction to the episode. Tom?
I thought it cleaned up the season nicely, while also setting up, the next season directly, which is what they're supposed to do. But I wasn't disappointed by any means of them lacking anything or going a different direction than I wanted them to.
I felt like it was the best finale they could have had to, as you said, wrap this up and tease what is coming for next season. And oh my goodness, that is really cool.
Yeah.
If you are a longtime fan of the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, you're going to like what's coming, I think. Jamie, what did you think overall of this episode? What did you like? Anything you didn't like at all?
No, I agree. It was a good wrap up of the season. Nothing too insane happened. There was a sad death. Well, that was kind of at the end of the last episode. Not confirmed until we watched this one. There was another sad kind of death, if you can call.
You weren't talking about. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, I was talking about Queel.
Oh my gosh.
No, I was talking about Queel.
In honor of Queel, who we named the show after, really, right?
Yeah.
We really did, yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, my awesome shirt. So my wife Lauren got this for me, and you guys got me this hat. Look at this. Like
Wow.
you guys are just
Well,
taking care of my
decked out.
wardrobe here. So I've got a awesome now retro Buffalo Sabres hat. So I'm very appreciative of that. But Lauren got me this I Have Spoken shirt. I'm going to stand up quick. Oh. There you go. If
Very
you're
quick,
if
yeah.
you're watching, the show came out a month ago, which is awesome. So I think she got this on
yeah.
Etsy.
Yeah.
But
Meanwhile, my shirt has
Christmas Yoda.
Christmas Yoda
I like it.
I'm wearing blue.
in honor of Baby Yoda.
Just thank goodness you're not wearing
I'm
green.
wearing blue.
I brought a green sweatshirt, though.
So, oh my gosh, my favorite ever green screen moment is me wearing a green T-shirt and green jeans just to piss Adam off.
Oh my goodness.
Worth it.
And
Floating head.
he goes, "Really? That's what you're going to be wearing?" I was doing like a Weekend Geek, so it was just me on screen. That's it, standing
Floating
up.
head.
And I looked at him. I go, "What's the big idea? What's the problem?" So we saw we saw one notable death in this one.
Yes.
And then we got confirmation of one from the previous week, which is tough. Queel
Sadness.
has kind of become a nice little lovable character there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
In short order. I was hoping that we were going to get the crew here, right? Like this was going to be the makings of almost like what we see with the Millennium Falcon or what we see with the Ghost crew in Phoenix Squadron in Rebels. where you've got everyone just coming together. So it would have been Kara, it would have been Mando, it would have been Baby Yoda, Queel, IG-11. That would have been really fun together.
It was a little less squad up and a little more Rogue One, where they all come together, but then they lose some.
That's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Speaking of Rogue One, we saw again Death Troopers. Those, so they're the black clad stormtroopers who are kind of like the top of the top when it comes to the Empire, or what's left of it at this point. That's a really nice callback to Rogue One. Before I forget, we saw a really, really bizarre droid tonight.
Oh, yeah. Was he an R2 unit or...
I would argue he was
Or
a modified
proto-
R2 unit.
Yeah.
Or an
he was-
astromech
he was
droid.
Astromech with additional parts.
He was like...
Protocol droid.
Yeah.
arms and legs?
Basically, it looks like he had like C-3PO's uncovered arms and legs from Phantom Menace.
It's strange.
Weird. I don't think it made a noise at any point, right?
It did. It made just little beeping noises.
Okay.
But it like conversed with them. It said, "Where do you want to go?"
That whole scene was just such like foreshadowing because the first thing I thought of, like I said, was like River of Styx, like taking like the ferry into Hades into Hades and basically going to hell, and like you're like someone's gonna die.
You're going on
here.
a river of
You're
lava.
literally a
It felt
river of
like it,
lava, into the darkness, and it was just a really cool scene how it was filmed. But
It's different.
and the creepy droid helped. So
That's true. Yeah.
it was creepy.
IG-11 really. Why don't we talk about him for a bit here? So Taika Waititi, who I'm such a fan of ever since, actually before Ragnarok, right?
Oh,
What
yeah.
We Do in the Shadows?
What We Do in the Shadows.
I
So
don't
good.
remember when that came out, but that was a few years earlier. And that is one that I did not get to watch this year.
That was in, I think, 2015 or so.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
Was
that,
he in that though, or did he just direct it?
He was
did
in it. He's the
Oh,
lead
okay.
vampire.
yeah, I don't remember the name.
And neither do I.
But,
But
I
he's
knew
very
from
good.
that
That's
moment
right,
on that
that's
I
right.
loved
Okay.
him. And then when I heard, when we went to see Ragnarok, we thought it was Murray.
Oh, yeah, we
Right?
did. Yeah, we picked out his New Zealand accent for sure, but we couldn't put a finger on which
Rhys-
actor he was. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Rhys Darby, yeah.
Hey, man. Yeah.
Hey, man.
I
Which
can't
is
wait
funny.
for Thor Love and Thunder.
We each got a Taika Waititi pop vinyl this year because I got Korg from Tom's brother Steve.
And
Yeah,
my
that's
brother
a really
Steve got
good
one too.
Yeah, I got him a Korg as well. We both love Korg.
Man, you guys just like unleashed my love of pops.
Pop addiction. Here we go
Pop
down the rabbit
addiction.
hole.
Every time I talk about it on the Geekiverse, I'm like, no, I don't actively collect them, but I like them as gifts. They're nice, and they, each one kind of means something. We've got like maybe 12 of them on our bookcase,
That's about what I have.
which is
Oh.
not crazy because there's like 55 million.
I counted mine. I have 22 now.
They're easy to pick up, right? They're cheap.
Do you know how many of them you have bought, Tom?
4.
That's not bad. Lauren has one of
That's
each.
wrong.
That's true.
Lauren has one of each of the cosplays she's done,
That's very nice.
which is
cool.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like in that outfit, except she might be missing Little Mermaid, but that's kind of a cool
Yeah,
thing.
very
Like
cool.
I got Pirates of the Caribbean. I got Barbossa when we went to Niagara Falls Comic Con
very cool.
in Canada.
Do a pop podcast next.
We could. We could talk
They're
about
doing
them.
Gears Pop, right? Gears
Yeah,
of War.
that's true. The other trooper we saw was the flamethrower trooper,
Yes.
which is really cool.
So that was almost like a little bit of a callback to the Clone Wars era. Flame
It
Trooper.
looked the armor itself looked very Clone Wars like armor style with the paint on it and the gear, and he was all decked out. So
Definitely went back. That helmet, I want to say, just became available in like the Black Series
oh,
from Hasbro.
Oh yeah. I
So
think,
now it
I
makes
think I saw
sense.
that. Yeah.
Why this came to be. But we also, speaking of pops, we've all got our Baby Yodas pre-ordered. We've got 3 of them.
Cannot wait.
They come out in May. So thank you, Amazon Prime. But IG-88, or not 88, IG-11, we see here he kind of got rebuilt to be a nurse droid. So his sole purpose, instead of being an assassin droid, is to protect the child. And I love every bit about that. I love that it plays right into Taika's wheelhouse. I think it's hilarious that he's a nurse droid and just has to be like consoling now because he was this monster. And now he's got to be like this loving, caring thing. So let's talk about that a little bit. Going down the path here with Taika. What were some funny moments? What was something we liked about this character? Anything at all? Throw it at me.
Gosh, he was so protective of Baby Yoda because that was his new protocol, and I love the one time when he said, "Don't be sad. I didn't live. I can't die." And the Mandalorian said, "I'm not sad." He was like, I'm a nurse droid. I can tell your
read
emotions or
vocal
something.
tones
Yeah.
yeah. I think his line for me in this episode was when he tells Grief Karga, "If you touch this baby, I will kill you." And Grief's like, "That's fine. I'm not touching the baby. I don't want to touch the baby."
He comes around in that intro, right? That like 3.5 minute almost intro where we get the two scout troopers on the speeder bikes, and they had just stolen Baby Yoda.
We'll talk about that next. But
Okay.
Yeah.
oh my goodness, that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
Last thing I want to mention about IG-11 here was just the relationship with him and the Mandalorian. Literally, the Mandalorian going from absolutely hating all droids to accepting and liking this one because it saved the child, it saved him.
Right.
And he just like, "What? I finally like a droid. I don't want you to go kill yourself and blow up and save our lives, but you have to." So,
Yeah. And that's kind of a well-known Star Wars lore fact while we're on IG here is those IG droids, if they can't fulfill their protocol, their mission, they self-destruct. They're not allowed to be captured. And they've got a lethal thermal detonator built into like where their heart would be. And that's kind of how IG goes out here, saving the crew, really, allowing them to escape. And there was another line I really liked from him. I think early on in that intro, he mentions being a nurse droid.
he says it to the two scout troopers.
Okay. That I thought was really funny that's how he introduced himself. And it was, he had Baby Yoda on like a backpack, like you saw Yoda on Luke a little bit. That was just, all of it was great. It's amazing to me how Jon Favreau has brought these characters together and made them this odd little loving family without compromising how cool they all are.
I'm waiting for the Hangover style shirts now with Baby Yoda.
Oh,
middle
that's
yeah.
funny. Yeah.
TM if it doesn't happen yet.
TM to TK. So Lauren also, speaking of this, got me a baby on board sticker. I'm not usually a fan of those. I didn't put two and two together until we had a baby. Lauren's like, no, it's in case you're in a car accident. That's why you put it on there. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. I just thought it was people kind of being proud of it, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah. It wasn't my style. But
I always thought it was, hey, slow down, don't tailgate me, I have a baby.
Yeah, that could maybe all of the above.
Maybe.
But she found the sticker to end all stickers, and it's basically the moment that Mando touches the finger of Baby Yoda in the first episode. It's like an outline of that, and it says "Baby on Board" in the Star Wars font. So now I'm really excited of that. So if you see an SUV with that in the greater Buffalo area, it's probably me.
Scout droids.
Let's talk Scout Troopers. So beginning of the episode, kind of a fun intro. We get to see a bunch of Scout Troopers goof around almost. They're talking.
They're bored.
Yeah, they're bored. They're also building up our villain here, Gideon, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we find that there's a nice. We all figured that there was a cameo here. We didn't know who was behind the mask, but Jamie, who was behind the one that was holding Baby Yoda.
Looks like Bike Scout Trooper number 1 was Jason Sudeikis. So
SNL fame, right?
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of movies since, but you'll recognize him instantly. What a nice cameo that was. So that's another SNL guy, right? Because what's his name was in the first one?
Yeah, the guy from the first one who does the Christmas song. I can't think of his name now.
It'll hit me.
Christmas time is here.
As soon as this is over, it'll hit me what his name is. And the other trooper I was not familiar with.
His name is Adam Pally, or Polly.
Can I see a picture?
Pally. This guy.
I don't know what else he was.
Yeah. Wait, he looks familiar.
He's been in a few things. I mean,
so
not a few, more than a few, but a few things that I recognized.
You said Iron Man 3, right?
Yeah,
so that's the Jon Favreau connection. Mm-hmm. He was in Dirty Grandpa, which I did not see. Let's see here.
It's like some voice acting.
Yeah, I wonder. So he impersonates Donald Trump. He's done. Yeah, I know. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
A lot of the cameos that we see, though, are in relation to our director here, Jon Favreau, who is just like, hey, I know you. You want to be in Star Wars?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's great for fans and the actors to be a part of this universe and kind of get those calls. And
totally awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's especially when it's a presence like that because they bring their own personality into it. I think my favorite Star Wars cameo ever is probably Daniel Craig in Force Awakens.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
As-
thinking that too.
Like that's got to be the one. Like you
And
just
that was just him on set, and he just walked over, didn't he? And he's like, "Hey, I want to be in the movie." And they're like, "Yeah, you're Daniel Craig. We're gonna throw a stormtrooper."
can you imagine the poor guy that was going to play
Yeah.
that part?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
yeah,
funny.
sorry, you did have a speaking part, but now it's
But
going to be
now we have
James
James
Bond.
Bond.
I'll
so
never watch James
forget
Bond
you.
again.
That's the next James Bond villain right there.
Oh yeah.
It was Rami Malek who had that part originally.
I'm gonna kill him in his last movie.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I can't wait for
Rami.
that. So that was a long intro. This episode clocked in about 47 minutes, a little bit longer than the average we're seeing here. I think there was anywhere from 39 to about 43, 44.
I think the first episode was about 45 though too.
Yeah, the
so they probably did a
introduction
nice little.
and the end. They were like bookends, yeah. Giving us the storyline at the beginning and then wrapping everything up at the end.
It's a nice analogy, Jamie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's your second good analogy today.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Of 2019.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm just,
Wow.
Wow.
Just so everybody knows, today is December 27th.
Awkward. You could have been like, it's 2020 now, and no one would know the difference.
Yeah, that's true.
you blew it.
So we got the name of the Mandalorian here. So Din Djarin.
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. There we
Also
go.
Jin. No.
What?
Din made me think of the Jawas from Spaceballs. Even though it's Dink Dink.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what?
It was like Dink Dink.
Yeah.
Dink 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 Dink. Okay, anyway. So the name is revealed by Gideon, Moff Gideon. And that's kind of a big deal because the Mandalorians are obviously very private. And that is revealed here. And even he said he hadn't heard that name since he was basically a kid, right?
Right.
And we got a little bit more backstory as well on how he really came to be who he is, right? So he was, and we saw it too. We saw it actually played out with the attack, with him being rescued by the Mandalorians, the super battle droid attack there. I love that we got to see more of that in action and
Yeah.
the perspective from flying away with the jetpack.
They keep adding a little more and more to that flashback scene, and we keep seeing like not that he's like remembering, but it's exposing us little by little to his background without saying, "This is what happened. Let's move on." So it's kind of nice to see that, a little more of an intro, a little more of an after to see. Yes, his town is being attacked by these super battle droids. His parents literally throw him in a hole. There's an explosion. We don't know if they're alive or dead or what's going on with them. And then a Mandalorian shows up and saves them, and he's like, "Okay, this is my foundling. I'm going to take care of you now, make you a Mandalorian," and then off they go. Which ties directly into the end of this, which we
Comes
see
full circle.
full circle with the armorer telling him, "Hey, you found this kid. You saved it. It saved you. You're its dad now until you reunite it with his people,
Oh,
which
congrats.
is going to be very difficult."
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I did like the full circle effect with that intro and him and the relation between them and their backgrounds. So
So he either must find a way to reunite Baby Yoda with his people, which good luck, right? Because that's a rare species that
So, yeah,
we did not
either-
get a name of still.
Either his species or the Jedi, which they were talking about. It didn't seem like any of them had heard of Jedi
the
before.
wizards.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
interesting. So that's something we should address here. Because we're all like, what are you talking about? Luke Skywalker blowing up the Death
Jedi,
Star
duh.
and,
Yeah.
killing the Emperor and Vader just 5 years before this. So a lot of what we saw in the original trilogy is not like public knowledge in the galaxy. Obviously, the Empire falling is known, but even so, you see the remnants of the Empire there. Regardless, like people, the average citizen in the galaxy doesn't know what the Sith are. Like
I don't think
Or
they
the
even
Jedi.
know what the Force is.
right. The
Yeah.
Force is like this magic mystical thing, like Han Solo talks about it in New Hope, right? And then who what was I gonna say? So like Palpatine is not known to be like this evil Sith, and Darth Vader wasn't even technically like a ranking officer in the Empire, as we've established in this new Disney canon with Marvel, that he was really just the Emperor's enforcer. Even though he was really his second in command, he wasn't like an official anything.
Yeah,
so
he did
Vader
not have a title at all.
he reported to the Moffs, to Tarkin, all of it, but really at the end of the day, the Emperor had the final say.
Well, also, Darth Vader was more powerful than a lot of those people, especially with the Force, so they were all scared of him.
Oh, 100%.
Even knowing he was powerful, they're not trained to know about the Force or even know the background of it. And the Empire controls all the propaganda and
Yes.
all the communications, except on the Outer Rim, kind of a little more scarce. So they were going to do everything since the destruction of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant to erase everything. Any knowledge of the Jedi is just wiped out, and they're gone, and they're hunted and killed.
And paint them as villains as well.
And painted as traitors of the Republic. So there's all this stuff where people are just like not going to tell their kids about this kind of thing. And
So how is this child so force sensitive, and how did he learn everything he knows up to this point?
It seems, we don't know these answers, but to me it seems that his species, which I'm really surprised we didn't get a name of, because I think that was kind kind of teased.
that's season 2.
Yeah,
Isn't that something they've always wanted to keep secret, though, since the very
It's
beginning?
something
George Lucas?
Spielberg. Jeez, George Lucas wanted to keep secret
From the very beginning.
He went out of his way to remove all lore from toys, card games, video games. Anytime anything came up with Yoda species, except for Yaddle, he was like, "No, not going to happen."
It's been
I'm
more
happy
than,
about that.
It's been more than 40 years,
it's
and we
not
still
something
don't know.
I ever need to know.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
That's all I have.
It's all George has left, plus 4 billion.
I wonder if he has the name of it, like he knows it. It's in his head.
100%.
Yeah.
Well,
Really?
here's the thing. It changes every few years, probably, right? It's
Maybe.
George
Yeah,
Lucas.
he can do whatever he wants with this stuff.
So getting back to the child and maybe why it knows what to do, I feel like that species is rare, so there's not like a huge population of them somewhere, unless this gets debunked in season 2 or somewhere else down the line, and that they are just naturally force sensitive creatures.
They must be.
Certain creatures are more, or certain species are just more naturally connected, and more individuals can be as well. And I think they're just super in tune with like nature, which sounds really cheesy to say, but the way like Luke described the Force in Last Jedi to Rey leads me to believe that like that's how they are. They're just like a peaceful species, and they know what they have to do, and it's like this innate built-in ability, because the kid really is like 5 years old for a human.
Yeah, that would kind of back up too with this new trilogy that came out here. We see at the end of
Do we want to talk about Rise of Skywalker?
I was going to say the end of the last. We won't do Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah,
but
no, don't do it.
the end of the Last Jedi. If you haven't seen it, plug your ears or skip ahead 10 seconds.
If you haven't seen Last Jedi, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, but we see the
while.
kid with the broom. It's nothing serious with the movie or anything like that. But that kid isn't trained in the Force,
Right.
but he's like,
Yeah.
hey, I can do this. I was
yeah.
under stress at some point, or I figured this out on my own just with like meditation, and he figured out that he can do it.
Yeah.
Not
So-
to equate it to something that you guys don't particularly love, but Harry Potter has similar things.
Mhm.
Kids just have these abilities as when they're young. They just like
kind of figure it out.
they come upon it, yeah, and then when they come of age, they're taken to learn.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing with the Empire, right? Like they're stealing, and then we find out the First Order. Any kid that was Force sensitive because they want to kill them, eliminate them, or
Or
maybe
turn them.
Yeah, use them for their own common good, I guess. But I thought it was really interesting, maybe more funny how it played out there with Grief telling him to get the child to do what they said,
The hand trick.
the
Get
magic
the child
baby.
to do the magic hand.
Magic hand.
Baby, do the magic hand thing.
And just
He
waves.
does that and it waves back.
The
That
baby
was
just
adorable.
waves back. Oh,
Yeah, that's gonna be that's
So
a
cute.
that's a gif, right?
that's the meme of the week. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we should have done that. Next season we'll do a meme of the week. That's a good idea.
That'd be good.
So-
last thing with the yodeling. Haven't said it this episode
Yeah.
yet. I would like to believe, just a theory from Tom's crazy theory corner.
Oh yeah. So introducing Tom's crazy theory corner.
Kind of like that. Since the child is 50 years old, I would like to think that it did have a master, and like there was think of like if a human Jedi was raising this child, and he got older and he died, and someone else had to take over the child. I think it would be interesting, because they could have communicated with the Force, they could have trained that way. I think that would be a fun and interesting theory.
Possible.
So if it's 50,
At what age do human?
Think about it. If you're 30
Jedi.
and you're a Jedi Master, and you're like, oh, here's your new apprentice, and they're like, this thing isn't aging.
and you
Well-
would think it would be able to speak then.
No, because you got to think how it develops and what it thinks about, and does it speak Basic, which is the Star Wars English?
So
basically?
at what age do you think it would have started learning though? at that rate.
Well, I'm saying with the Force, though, too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because there's ways people can communicate through the Force, even with just feeling an emotion where you can tell, is it happy? Is it sad? Is
Yeah.
it... Again, I want to talk about Rise of Skywalker, but I won't. Just
It's hard, I know.
We'll talk,
Reach
we'll,
out
we'll
with
talk,
your
we'll talk off
feelings.
camera on Mike.
And we keep it rolling accidentally. Like the kids in even Revenge of the Sith, like those are 4 or 5 year olds at best, right? And we know that they're taken from birth.
It's the right age.
So I'm trying to think. So at 50, he would have been around easily for like the end of the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
For what it's worth, I don't know how he would have escaped. I feel like he's not at all connected to the Jedi Order, but if he were to go on your theory here, that maybe, where do I want to go with this? Maybe it was kind of like a Cal Kestis, as we've seen, like in Jedi Fallen Order, someone off the beaten path who was Force sensitive, and maybe ended up taking someone under their wing.
Yeah, I like that
I don't know.
idea.
We'll see where it goes. I'm happy that we're continuing on with their relationship as between Baby Yoda and the Mando as we go into season 2 here. So season 2, we failed to mention just a few hours ago, Jon Favreau tweeted out that season 2 is coming fall 2020. That's impressive. That's a good turnaround. I did not think we were going to get this for at least a few years.
There was a nice teaser pic as well with the Gamorrean Guard that we saw there. So it'd be interesting to see how that ties directly into it, because I love those little teasers of just like we have nothing to go off of except this alien race, which is already established in the series. So are we going to their planet? Are we going, like
We're seeing Jabba's
what-
palace, maybe?
You know what I'm thinking of right now? I'm thinking of the Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mother? I just want to see him going planet to planet, being like, is this yours? And they'll be like, no,
Is this
that's
your
not
kid?
mine. And then he'll be like, all right. And he flies off. I'm going to write a book.
Is this your child? Oh my goodness.
Oh, goodness.
Dr. Seuss has got nothing on you.
TM from Tom's Corner.
The Mando and the child. I like it. So why don't we talk about our main antagonist here? So Moff Gideon, which at first my brain went to Star Wars Battlefront 2. Gideon Hesk is an Imperial agent. They're not the same at all. Just Gideon kind of rang in my head as like, oh man, I forgot about that storyline. But I like what they did with this character. Like, this guy is not to be messed with. They really built him up in that dialogue between the scout troopers in the beginning, and that was all really kind of meant to be funny. But they simultaneously were explaining, like, don't mess with this guy. Like, he had a guy killed because he interrupted him.
Yeah.
That's right.
This guy is sadistic.
And he killed his own men. And
Just to prove a point.
They said it was like a power move, basically. Like, yeah, he's going to do whatever it takes to get what he wants. And then he's like, well, no, I'm not going to go down there until they call us down there. I'm not going to look at the child until until I give it to him, because I don't want him shooting me just because he's annoyed with me.
Exactly.
And we definitely see in this episode that he's determined. I mean, he's...
and he's skilled, right? Like, so he fights...
He's a pilot.
Yep. He gets the TIE, flies in the TIE fighter. He survives, which we all assumed he would.
And he has a lot of intel. He knows his enemy, which is important.
Yeah. He is very much in the same vein to me as like a Grand Admiral Thrawn, where he is very tactical.
I love Thrawn.
Yeah. He's intelligent. He knows what's going on, and he can put his money where his mouth is, right? Like, he could fight when he has to. That sequence with the TIE fighter was great, by the way, with Mandalorian using his jetpack for the first time.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Level up.
Yeah.
More gear.
Video game. That's what I thought the entire season. That was a really good sequence. And then at the end, let's talk about this. So we see him escape. The Jawas are looking at the downed TIE fighter. And, oh, man, we get the black.
Dun, dun, dun.
We get the black saber.
Dark saber.
The dark saber itself.
Dark saber.
And it was so great to see it in live action form. Oh, it sounded like a lightsaber
cool.
as soon as I heard it. And I'm like, it can't be.
Yeah,
And
I thought it was at first. And then you guys both were like, it's a dark saber. So
You're like, what the heck are
I
you
don't know
nerds
what that
talking about?
is.
Losers. So, again, if you're a fan of Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, if you haven't watched those, go watch them now, because that is a very prominent weapon. And they also kind of... So we talked about why would he possess this? What were some thoughts on why you think Gideon would be in possession of this?
So we kind of had like we talked about it, but we also had like kind of like a mental timeline in our head of where was this at this time, and like where are we? So we are 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So anything in the Clone Wars, anything in the prequels, it's all never happened yet. Or I'm sorry, it all already
Like
happened.
way in the past.
Yeah, so
And
it's all
Rebels
done.
2 would have been at least maybe about 10 years prior to that. So there's a
So-
window in there. We don't know what happened with
There-
the end of Rebels.
There is a window, and we don't know if Sabine had Darksaber last or if she turned it over to the next ruler of Mandalore who's supposed to have it. But based on this storyline that we're seeing here, they say there was the siege of Mandalore and the Empire took over and took everything from them. So why wouldn't they take the artifacts?
Right.
So they took all the Beskar, they took all the weapons and artifacts, and if what's this guy's name?
Gideon.
Gideon.
If Gideon was a part of that, even as a soldier at the time or whatever he
Right.
was, or a general, he's like, hey, I want this. And he took it, and he could have even brought it there to prove a point to the Mandalorian and say, I have this, like, old school, like, man-to-man combat is basically, like, what they do. So that's kind of like a nice leverage tool for him to be like, hey, I'll give you this for the child, which we could have saw it coming if, he got away. So
And that's a big deal.
I'm super excited. It's like
It's a real big
it's the
deal.
holy grail of the Mandalorians.
Right.
It really is.
Like
so
they won't take their masks off. They won't say their names for the most part. Like,
the creed they called it.
yeah, and they're very serious with all of it, right? This is the way. That's kind of the mantra.
Yeah.
So the other thought I had with the Darksaber is it's briefly mentioned in Rogue One, is it not? Don't they say Project Darksaber, Black Saber? It's something saber. It's either black or dark. When
Oh yeah, it's
Jin,
one of the files.
yes, when Jin
Oh.
and Cassian are looking and they find
Moondust.
Stardust.
Stardust. Moondust.
I don't know why Moondust was so funny. Moondust.
Moondust.
'Cause
Death Star plans. Or
Stardust.
yeah,
Whatever it is.
They call it Stardust, and Jin knows that because
That's her nickname.
That's exactly
Moondust.
Moondust. So they mentioned that in there, as well as hyperspace tracking. By the way, to all of you who
Oh.
have issues with The Last Jedi and how the First Order could keep up with the
Wow.
Resistance, that is teased in Rogue One.
They laid a lot of plans out
They
there.
have almost infinite resources, and people are upset about the technology. Like they can do whatever they want.
100%.
They have the
100%.
best of the best to do whatever they want.
Exactly.
They built the Death Star. They built the Star Killer base, which is ridiculous to me, but it's there.
Yeah.
Get over
so
it.
futuristic for having been a long, long time
Oh
ago.
man.
Star Killer base, by the way. Well, I can't say anything. Well,
That was the last movie, wasn't it? It wasn't in this movie.
I'm not talking about a movie.
Okay.
I'm talking about a game.
Oh, you jerk.
So
We'll get there.
rude.
Anyway.
And Easter egg, not probably.
Okay. Gotcha.
Anyway, you'll know it when you see it, and you'll text me right away. I know you will.
I'm leaving right now and going to play Fallen Order. That's enough.
Oh, I love that game so much. I'm 95% of the way through.
I'm like
Almost
10%.
there. I'm getting there.
All right, back on topic.
So we see the Mando's face,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and alas, it's Pedro Pascal. So Game of Thrones fame, we
Are you
know this already.
surprised?
But Game of Thrones fame for me, Kingsman. I loved him in that movie.
Soon to be Wonder Woman.
Soon to be Wonder Woman. He's
Not him. He won't be Wonder Woman.
Oh gosh.
no, but he'd do
Soon
a
to
great
be
job.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So that was good. And that exchange with IG-11 was fun too. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so the Mando has this thing with IG where IG has almost this flawed logic, and the Mando corrects him. If you remember back to like the first,
Self-destruct, right?
yeah, the first episode, how many times does he go, "I must self-destruct," and he said
like
something,
3 or 4
and he'd be
times.
like, "Okay, I'm not going to do that now." That was really funny, and I think that happened a few times tonight in this last episode.
Yeah.
But we got the reveal. Did you guys think we were going to see his face at any point in the season?
I heard that we were going to hear his name tonight. I didn't think about the face though.
I
But
didn't
it-
actually think about it, honestly.
It was interesting that kind of like what you just said about his logic and being like, I'm gonna counter your point to get you to do what I want you to do.
Yeah.
The IG did the same thing to him, and he's like, "Oh, well, no living being has seen your face. I'm not alive though, so
Right.
so we're good.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna die anyway." So
He outthought him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. He was going
I mean,
to
he
die.
didn't know that at the time, but
Right.
I love their
Looking
banter.
ahead.
They would kind of manipulate each other to do what the other
Yeah.
needed,
It's funny.
but really to benefit them both.
right.
It wasn't like totally one-sided.
and we got that nice little Bacta reference. I mean, from the Bacta tanks, and
Yeah.
just like that's the healing material of the Star
This
Wars
is a
universe.
Bacta
and-
spray. Yeah.
That was cool. Kara's name is Kara Cynthia,
Cara Cynthia, yeah.
right? That was kind of a cool little thing from Alderaan.
Interesting. Oh,
yes,
yeah, that's
from Alderaan.
right.
That's really big. So that maybe explains a little bit why she was a part of the Rebel Alliance.
So she's pissed.
Yeah. Oh, is she mad?
Oh, she's
Things are going to go
pissed.
down.
Yeah.
I love her motivation for staying away from negotiating this whole episode. Like, she's like, they're going to mess me up because
She
I was a rebel.
mentioned- She said they're going to hook me up to a mind flare, right?
Yeah.
Which the
sounds
first
like
thing I think of is
Stranger
Stranger
Things.
Things.
Yeah.
Which is a reference to Dungeons and Dragons. But that's interesting because
Yeah.
wasn't that was the beast in not Rogue One? Yeah, Rogue One. Was that the mind flare?
Oh.
Borgullet,
So I wonder
Borgullet.
if that's the same thing.
the one that Saw Gerrera has that looks like a squid.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I literally pieced this together as I'm talking.
And he
but
messed up the pilot, right?
yes, so
Yeah,
that
okay.
like it's like a truth serum alien, basically.
Sure.
So you think that's what she was referencing?
That's what I think what she was
Oh.
referencing.
Interesting.
I imagined like a probe droid of sorts.
Like some
Maybe,
kind
yeah.
of torture device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's really cool, though. I never thought of that.
Crazy Tom's Corner. Forgot what we called it.
I like Crazy Tom's Corner.
I think we'll go with Crazy Tom's Corner.
In that
It needs
picture,
like
need
a-
thumbnail.
It needs to be, there needs to be like an intro sequence to it, though. Like, Crazy Tom, Crazy Tom, Crazy Tom, Crazy Tom's Crazy Corner. Theories.
Oh,
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Crazy Tom's Corner.
I'm Crazy Tom. Thank
So
you
we
for
need to think
joining.
about this. We've
Are you
got
ready
some
for
time
this off the
before
wall random thought that Tom just had?
season 2. We need to iron out a few details and make this show even better for all of you who stick around, or maybe flee really quickly.
I'm sorry. Oh, stop. Just,
Oh, this is so nice.
What?
Usually I'm the one that apologizes.
just leave a comment below if you're upset with this whole thing.
Do you want Tom to stay? Do you want Tom to go? Let us know. Final thoughts here. I don't know if there's anything I missed. We did see Queel's kind of makeshift grave that the
Yeah.
Mando made for him and put his goggles on top.
That was sad.
Last thing I want to mention is just the armor scene.
Yep.
We see that, just to sum it all up, after the Mandalorians all came out of hiding and saved our Mandalorian, they knew the Empire was going to come for them, and they basically dumped their gear and all ran, or were killed by the Empire. So we're kind of, she said hopefully some got away, but a lot of them, were dead, and that's kind of why she had all the armor. And as part of their creed, she refused to leave. She's like, I need to melt all this down and take care of the burials and
Yeah.
make sure that our code is being honored.
Well, no one else is allowed to wear that armor, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Except Boba Fett, who stole it.
Crazy
Tom's Corner.
Don't get me going on Boba Fett. But so we see that, which is wonderful because we get the Mandalorian getting his sigil,
Mhm.
which signet, which we all thought was going to be a
Baby Yoda.
baby Yoda,
That would have been awesome.
which it wasn't.
Big miss.
I don't
But
know. I'm okay with it because it really shows that like
The Mudhorn.
The Mudhorn looks
she
more
says
badass.
that there's two of you, you're a pair now, and they both killed that creature together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice little. Like
Did you say like you're a 2-person clan or something,
Yeah,
or a clan of 2?
exactly. So I liked that whole scene of her giving him the jetpack and saying like basically you earned this, and then
Yeah.
you heard him getting the next upgrade, which is just basically his sigil snibble
Signet.
signet.
I want to say Brian Patrick Stoyle mentioned that he thought that in one of the Star Wars Facebook groups we're in that was going to be the signal, the Baby Yoda basically. But the Mudhorn's cool as well. That's
I
a
liked
tough
it. It
piece.
looked really cool.
It does look very cool.
That scene resonates with me. Like it sticks in my mind so much when Baby Yoda was like force lifting it.
It was the first
Just
thing
that-
we really saw,
That
Yeah.
was
besides
so
the attempted
cool.
force heal, which he didn't do. But
That was really, really cool how they played out visually. Any wrapping thoughts here on this episode of We Have Spoken for this episode?
We got to see some cool force use in this one with Baby Yoda stopping the blast of the fire. I thought that he might try to heal the Mandalorian after he had like the blood coming out of the back of his head, but he probably was too weak at that point.
And he wouldn't have taken the helmet off, right?
Right.
Because IG
No
says
living
he
being.
has to at least.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. That's it.
Crazy Tom.
I just liked. I think I said enough. But I liked when they're all trying to piece together what they're going to do when they're trapped inside the little kind of cantina area.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like
That was
waiting
good.
it out and trying to figure everything out. And we see Grief Karga taking shots, just trying to calm his nerves.
Yeah.
You notice that? He
That
took like
was
2 or
funny.
3 shots, and he's just like, all right. What are we
Pouring
gonna
the
do?
drink.
I just like that kind of like subtle background thing of like we're seeing the other characters doing things to kind of keep your attention and kind of focusing on their own
It's
personality.
a crew,
so
right? Like
that's good, and I like him. I liked him since the first time we saw him on
Carl
screen.
Weathers.
Wonderful.
He is a wonderful character. He's got a great presence, and I love his voice.
And
Yeah,
he's
it's very
he's
commanding.
such that like mercenary like scum too, where he's like I'm gonna switch sides here and
Yeah,
there.
he'll just
and
turn
I'm
on
gonna
you
do
like
what I want
that.
to do.
He would sell whatever
Yeah.
on the street, right, to make a
Yeah,
profit.
he's like
Yeah.
well, we have the Empire off this planet. I'm gonna stay here and make a new bounty guild, and you're welcome to come back. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna have this
Yeah.
girl. I'm gonna hire Kara to be my my armor, basically.
I'm such a fan of her. I know she kind of is secondary to the Mandalorian here, but I love her being on this show.
Support character. She's
Yeah.
really good.
She is
Yeah.
really cool. I'd love to see more of her in season 2, week to week, instead of just popping up here.
If they split up, I could see them going like back and forth. Like
Well,
a
they did.
Mandalorian
They did
episode
split
and then
up.
Her. Well, I meant
At the
like
very end
in season 2, like them
Oh.
alternating episodes.
Yeah.
Like we've
And
only
then have them tie together at the end
Sure.
somehow.
followed the Mandalorian. You're saying if they followed Mando and then followed her on
Yeah,
some
we can get
Ah.
more
Sure.
story, more lore, and kind of just go from
Yeah.
there and just
Very cool.
intertwine their paths throughout it.
I'm into it. I love this. I thought this was as good a finale as you could, as we mentioned earlier, where it wrapped everything up, teased what's coming next year, which is actually really not that far off in terms of season 2. I didn't think we were going to get this for a while because I thought they were going to work on Kenobi and Cassian and K2 first, but thank goodness we are getting Mandalorian a lot sooner than we thought. I think we'll probably do what we're doing here for Clone Wars. If you guys are down for that, where we're kind of doing this weekly thing, because Clone Wars is not going to be a long season. That comes out in February.
Wow.
Well, can we binge all that, or is that going to be individual as well?
They're doing individual, I believe. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. So
at least we're getting it.
if you've enjoyed what we've done here, come back for that in February. We'll be talking more Star Wars. Last thing we want to mention here, we're going to do just a separate wrap-up episode. So this is not the last episode in this season, if you will, of We Have Spoken. We'll have just a kind of quick wrap-up, our favorites, our high points, and where we want to go for Season 2. You can find that on youtube.com/thegeekiverse, as well as Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. For Tom, for Jamie, I'm Josiah. Let's see. Do we want to try?
What do you want to do?
Can we each just pick one and then we'll just do it that way?
Wheel of Fortune one?
No, how we did.
Well,
like
I'm gonna mess it up.
Oh.
we
You
did
guys
it,
can
and
go for
we
it.
kind of just added one on
Oh,
like every
that's
week.
right.
But it's been a while now, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's
I-
try it.
I have spoken.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I have spoken.
I have spoken.
This
This is the way.
until we
Until we
meet
meet
again.
again.
Until we meet
Until our paths
again.
Until our
cross.
paths cross.
Until our paths cross. We already messed it up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all we
A lot
got.
of times.
We've
A lot
spoken.
of times.
We have spoken.
We spoke. It's never good.
No.
It's great.